This is Death or Prison, brought to you by leanonmeusa.org. The men you are about to hear have spent more than 50 years in prison. We bring you stories of hope and encouragement.
Hello once again, and thank you for joining us. This is the Death or Prison podcast brought to you by Lean On Me USA. Introducing the panel today, to my right, my brother, Pastor Raul Lopez, and to my left, our favorite guest, I like to say everybody's favorite, Mr. Anthony Smith. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man.
Welcome. It's an honor having you here.
And it's an honor to be here.
So, Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Savannah, Georgia. I moved to Miami probably at 7 years old, my second grade. And we moved into the Victory Home projects in Miami. And from there, that's where I started to grow up. And we stayed there for a little while. I was in elementary school. So, I was still innocent at that time.
Now, when you say we, who's we?
Oh, my mom and my brother and my sister, my two brothers.
And your dad?
My dad, that's where she moved. She divorced, and then we moved to Miami. He stayed back home in Georgia.
Okay.
And then we ended up moving down here, and we moved to Victory Home Projects. I went to Little River Elementary. Then I went to on to Jackson Senior High after that, after I went through school. But I can say, once I moved to Wynwood in 1980, I was about 9 years old. And, me and my brothers, I had to take my two brothers to the park for free lunch, and that's why I started getting out the house. Because most of the time when we lived in Victory Homes, from school, homework, and then you could play in the yard. But as we moved on, my mom, got her money up so we can move out and get our own place. We moved to Wynwood, Roberto Clemente Park. That's where I was at. The neighborhood was more dominant in the Spanish race. We was only 3 black families on my street. And everybody else was Puerto Rican, Cuban, and Dominican, and that was the difference for me because going to the park, taking my two little brothers, I was always to hold your brother's hand, don't let anything happen to him. And while we in there, I hear nothing but loo-loo-loo-loo-loo. I don't know what's being said. I felt like I was in a whole new country at the time. But as time went on, I got to know a few guys and got to know a few people. And, they accepted us, because we was really one of the only black families, after a while they seen, I had to fight a little bit to let them know that, hey, we ain't no pushover. You ain't gonna be messing with me and my little brothers. And after that, set that little stage, then I started getting friends, you know? So I guess that's how it is coming up in the neighborhood. You got to set an example for people to understand that, okay, I can't pick on him. So that's what I did. Things went on and I started meeting the bad guys after a while. Then, I was in the family where, we ain't had much. My mom, she was a school bus driver. She been working that job. She leave the house at 5 in the morning, and by the time she get home and cook and go to sleep, I probably wouldn't even see her, and I probably, I wouldn't see her till the weekend probably, because by the time she get home, I'm outside. She done cooked and went to bed. As long as there's food, I don't need nobody to talk to. I'm gonna go eat and do whatever and get up for school the next day. And then I started drifting a little bit when I was hanging with the bad crowd, teaching me small things. Hey, man, you want to make a few dollars? Okay, well, how you do that? Because we poor. You know what I'm saying? My mama ain't got nothing we can't buy no Jordan shoes and none of that. So the dudes, it started off with little petty crimes, stealing little.
At what age was that?
I was probably around 11 and 12. Stealing little stuff out of the store and stealing little drills that we find on work sites in our neighborhood and make a few dollars there. And then once I seen that I can make a few dollars, then that's when I went back. My thing was greed. That's what I had to learn now. Then I didn't know. At that time, I didn't know. But one of my biggest issues was greed. I wanted it all. I seen the dudes in the hood riding around with the big rims, the music blasting. I wanted that. My first dreams was football. I played football for Miami Beach Optimist Club. And there, a lot of the dudes that I played with then, all of us end up incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? And then, that's where our friendships remain from the football field through the jailhouse. You know how that system is. Then you got friends that you meet in there that you probably never see again. But what I learned that any anybody that you come in contact with and you allow them to, be a friend of you, you're going to pick up something from them, whether it's bad or good.
Right.
And I was hanging around the bad, so I was picking up a lot of the bad. And
Are we talking Flamingo Park?
Oh, Flamingo.
Exactly Anthony, it's because 2021, Wynwood now is the design district.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of money in Wynwood. TV stars, movie stars go to Wynwood, but we're talking back in the day when Wynwood was really a drug-infested area.
Mm-hmm.
It was run by one particular drug dealer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to shout out to Cano Jr. if he's looking at this podcast. I don't know what institution you're at, but I remember your dad in Wynwood.
Actually, man, that's one of my best friends. Cause I know him and his father, you know what I'm saying? And we all grew up together in that neighborhood. And right now, I hope he get to see this, because he's one of the ones that I want to bring with me, man. You got to change, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so to pick up where we left off, some of the things that I seen in my neighborhood, like, when I, as a kid, it traumatized. I seen a dude get his head blowed off, stuff like that. And I had to go to the store. It's like I stayed on 35th Street and the store's next to the park. And the one way next to the park was the drug hole. You had every drug on that one strip from 1st Avenue to 2nd Avenue. Everything that you needed to buy was right there. That's the way I had to walk to the store. And so happened one day, I'm walking to the store and I hear, hey, get that car, test that car. So whatever the car did, they say that he slapped the drugs and made him fall in his car when the dude showed it to him and tried to race down the street. But by the time he got to the other end, the dude just blowed his head off right there. I'm like, and I seen it and just ran home. And my mom like, well, where's the milk? I said, man, Mom, I just seen somebody get shot. I ain't going back. You know what I'm saying?
And the story we're saying it now, you're smiling, but again, back then, it's traumatized.
Right.
And a lot of people say, this is the card that I've been dealt. This is the hand that it is what it is. And this is what you're exposed to.
Exactly. And then I felt like, over the years, it became a norm to see a person die. You could see a person get shot and killed, and you could just walk out like, well, he ain't gonna make it, and just keep going. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we've been subjected to in our neighborhoods. These things don't really happen like that in other neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of people label us as minorities, or we crazy, when we violent and we fight, but that's all we know. That's how we know to protect ourselves. That's how we know, what I'm saying, to be respected. But it's different. So it's kind of hard for me to say like, okay, if I growed up over here, I would have still been like this. I don't think so. I think if I growed up in a better neighborhood, I think I'd have been a better person at that time.
At that time.
No knock on the person that I am now, and I wouldn't take nothing back. You know what I'm saying? Because I needed all that to get here.
Let's take it back. So we are at an age 13. You start. When is the first age that you get in trouble with the law?
Somewhere around that age, 12 and 13. My first crime was an auto theft. Me and one of my friends, we tried to steal a car. It was an attempt. We never got to take the car, and we ended up in juvenile hall. But it was so much of a pat on the wrist that I was ready to go do it again, because all I had to do is call my mom. She came and picked me up. That's how simple it was back then. You call your mom, and she said, hey, that's my child. Your first chance, you always gonna come home that same night. That's the way it was. I don't know how it is now, but after that, when I got out, I was like, that's it? Well, man, we can go do this again if that's what they gonna do, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's where I was at on that. I elevated to bigger crimes. I went from stealing cars to doing burglaries, from burglaries to robbery. And then that's where I found love at. In the streets. I found love in robbery because it was like so simple. The gun was like waving a magic wand. Everybody speak the language, like a universal language. I don't care if you knew English. If I did this, you did this. You see, so, and that's why that's why I was stuck, because then it's kind of like, the fame that came with it. Me and my friends, we were labeled the Rolex Bandits. And at that time, wow, we was like superstars in the neighborhood. So I loved it at the time. That's what I wanted. When people see me, their eyes get like this, and they everybody waving because they hear the stories. They heard, man, he did this, he did that.
The newspaper articles.
Pretty much.
I remember the Rolex Bandits.
Pretty much, and and that was part of it too, because people, when we first seen ourselves in the newspaper, we sure enough thought we were stars. You know, oh man, look, bro, we in the newspaper. Not our names, just the crime. Oh, look, this crime happened on this day, you know, and they trying to find who did it. Oh, we feeling like we champs. We done got away. Well, at least we thought we got away at the time. But you know, you never get away with anything. It all comes back. And that's what it was. We was labeled the Rolex Bandits, so, you know, the neighborhood glorified us. Everybody that, you know, knew us glorified us. You know, that's them boys, the Rolex Bandits, blah, blah, blah. And then even in jail, when we went from being on the streets doing it and ended up in jail, we was still the Rolex Bandits. We was treated better. You know, when we came in the cell, you know, somebody knew you. Oh, that's such and such, man. He wanted a Rolex, man. You want something to eat? And when another dude to come in that they don't know, he gets nothing. You know, they take his stuff, you know? So all that came with it. All that built me to be the person who I was.
Let me ask you a question. With going into jail, what was the first, okay, so you juvenile, you got a slap on the wrist, now what happened?
Okay, boom, then I go.
Because you mentioned you went in, obviously, to the county jail a few times before. You never went to prison, but you did maybe.
Right, I did a few times in the county before I went to prison. Well, what happened after that was I caught my first prison bid at 18. I caught a year and a day. That was like another tap on the wrist. Because at that time, a year and a day, you did no more than 90 days, basically. And I had 2 months in already in the county. So when I got there, it was about time to go home anyway. And that was another tap. That ain't fazed me at all.
But the year and a day, you got a DC number, though.
That's when I got the DC number.
You know, Anthony, let me throw in there now, because things have changed. It's heartbreaking when we go into the youth facilities and we'll hear about a youth that's 17, 18 years old. Once he turns 21, he's going to the big house and he's doing a life sentence. We talk about how it was a slap on the wrist. Remember, we were little kids. Security guard caught us stealing in the store and we just shed a tear and they let us go. And that boosted things for us to do more. But nowadays, they are giving life sentence like if it was candy. So times change. Things have gotten really serious. And I thought that was a good point to make because it's not a slap on the wrist anymore.
Exactly.
So you went in a couple of times to the county jail. Right.
And then my first bid, my first bus ride, I can explain. To me, it was like nothing because, you know, like I told you, the year and the day. So my mind was really on the streets the whole time. I'm thinking like, man, I'm going to be out of here in a minute. I ain't worrying about this, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you got to understand that some people don't make it out of there, even if it's a year and a day, even if it is only 3 months. And I had a couple of friends that happened to, but at the same time, once I went in, it was, you know, it was still like a tap on the wrist. I was 18, I was still young, and I haven't even. Only thing I knew about God at that time is that Grandma always talking about this Jesus guy. That's all Grandma. What, Jesus this and Jesus? Okay, Grandma, you know, and that was me at the time. And so my first bus ride was like, man, I'll be back home in a few minutes and get back out there and go get me a watch. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I felt. That was my mindset, and that's how I really felt at the time. Once I did finish that bid, I did exactly what was on my mind. I did what my mind said. I got out. I went back to robbing. I caught another prison bid. Once I caught that bid, I still wasn't ready yet.
What was the charge on that?
Oh, the second one was, the second bid was an armed robbery. Racketeering.
Talk to me about that. Talk about that.
That armed robbery was the robbery of the Intercontinental Hotel downtown. I had a few friends from my neighborhood, you know, that worked there. They set it up, and all of us got jammed. All of us got locked up behind this, except the two that set it up, because you already know they ratted everybody else out, because that's the first ones they went to. But me and a couple of friends, he set it up telling us it's going to be $800,000. That just blew my mind. I got to see $800,000. You know, the deal, what the plan was, you know, hey, everybody make your way in by yourself, and we'll come out of here together. They had on the third floor of the hotel, that's where they held the hotel safe. And some kind of way they paid the employees every third Friday of the month or something like that. And that's the Friday that we went. And we went in there and we armed robbed them. It was 11, 12 people in there. And we hold them all up and we took everything that, it wasn't 800,000 though. We came out of there with a lot less than 800,000. But, me, it was on to the next. After that, okay, what's next? Now what that did for me in the neighborhood, it made my robbery think, oh, he robbed, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he robbed the hotel. But now I got dudes coming at me like I'm a robbery, like I got robbery clients. Hey, man, I got this you can rob. Hey, I got that you can rob. I'm like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, because I'm like, wow, what's going on here? Everybody want me to rob somebody now. After I did that prison bid, the bid, the 11-year bid, I was getting out.
What year was that?
All right, I caught the 11-year sentence I got arrested in 1991. That's when I got arrested. Me and a whole bunch of my friends, we got arrested for racketeering, robbery, drug trafficking, access to 200 grams or more, burglary, grand theft. It was everything.
So this is the time when you get 65%.
Right.
Okay.
Right, we was at 65%.
So out of the 11, you did how many?
At the 11, I did 6 years and 9 months, and I was back on the streets. And
you were still wilding in prison that.
Yes, that wasn't even the question to ask. It's like once you get caught up in that what they call the
momentum,
game,
yeah.
And once you start riding that momentum, it's hard to stop it. It's like a ball rolling downhill.
Many questions I ask when we get to this conversation with a lot of our guests. Can you recall how many times God tried to get your attention?
I can recall several times, but I wasn't paying attention. I done flipped over in cars and came out without a scratch. I'd have been shot at more than over 11 times, 11 different occasions, and not a scrape. And one incident, I'm on a bike on the corner, and in my neighborhood on Halloween, we used to throw eggs at each other. We'd get the eggs and sit them on the roof for a week and let them get rotten. And on Halloween, you gonna get one. I see a truck in the alleyway with the lights on. I'm like, and that so happened, this is what we'll do. We'll go buy junk cars for like $300 that just for ride, probably for a week. It ain't gonna ride that long, but we need it for Halloween. I see the truck in the alley, and we at a gas station on the corner, and I tell all my friends, I say, hey man, y'all better watch out. I think that's such and such them, they might be finna egg us. So I'm just standing there, and next thing you know, the truck pull out of the alley, woo, with a high speed, and two dudes stand up in the back. I could do nothing but just freeze on the bike like this, like, ugh, and I was unscraped. A couple of other dudes got hit. I didn't get hit that time. Now, at the time, I'm thinking I'm the luckiest man in the world. I done flipped over in cars. I done been shot at. And then at this time, man, I'm lucky. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me. But all the while, now I know it was the grace of God. He was saving me for something bigger. Because at that time, man, my mind was gone. I never even thought about reading a word in the Bible.
So, Anthony, something came up for me. Sorry to interrupt there. There was a certain power, something really sick, when I pulled a gun on somebody. You were talking about that. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that motivates you to keep on going.
Exactly.
People talk about being addicted to crack, to heroin, and I've been through the drug addiction also, but there was something very powerful about you pull out a gun and people do what you say. It's sick, but it's
true, and it's the truth. Because what you're saying is true, because I think what we call the game is really addictive too. Is you can be addicted to it because the lifestyle, you get addicted to the power, the way it makes you feel. Like you say, when I used to put that gun and wave it at somebody, it was like a magic wand. It ain't nothing they gonna do. Any word I say, they gonna respond. And that kind of like, I remember my first time, and I remember like, wow, you know what I'm saying? That's all because before I used to probably just try to take it from somebody by the muscle. But once I did my first armed robbery, it was so much easier. I ain't break a sweat. And I'm like, wow, that was that easy? And then that me, then the dudes I was with, then you develop some kind of like way that you as a group, okay, this is our thing, this is ours. This is what we do. This is who we gonna be, and we make the rules, you know what I'm saying? So all that a part of that power that you talking about, we felt we made the rules, But we was kids. We really didn't know no better. That's one of the things that a lot of you brothers need to understand that. You can't get caught up in the game. The game is it ain't what they say it is. It don't never turn out. One thing I know about any game, there's gonna be an ending and there's gonna be winners and there's gonna be losers. And I said, we've been losing for a long time, man. We've been losing.
When you say losing, 11 years, you did how many years out of the 11?
Oh, that's nothing. I did 6 years and 9 months on that one. I did like, on the year and a day, I did like 4 or 5 months. And then my last bid, I did 17 years and 9 months.
So that's, okay, so that's the one that I want to get to. So what was the charge for that?
Trafficking cocaine.
And you got sentenced to?
40 years.
40
with 15 years minimum mandatory as a violent habitual.
What year was that?
That was in 2001. I caught the charge and I got sentenced in 2004.
So now you are at 85%.
85%, exactly. That's when I had nobody else to turn to. But before that, I got arrested. After I got out, I didn't even I got after the 6 year 9 month bid, I did like the final year or something at work release. But I ended up violating. But when I got to work release, my mindset was the same. I got to get out here and get this money. I'm feeling like I got to uphold my name. I got to keep it going. I can't stop now. And then after that, I end up going back. I went to work release, and while I'm at work release, I'm still doing little things on the side, pulling little crimes here and there. And I end up coming back drunk one day, and boom, I ended up like a Spender Fella story. I went to Coco's actually that night, which is a strip club, and I went there, and I had to turn myself into the work release center by 10. And once I got in, boom, I went back. So by 12 o'clock, I was in South Florida box with blues on again. You know what I'm saying? Just that fast. It wasn't an hour from strip club to South Florida confinement. That was like, wow, you know how I get here, you know?
You violate work release, you end up back in South Florida.
Right. Then after that, I end up finishing that sentence. I did most of it at South Florida. I only had 4 months left on the sentence. I'm back on the streets. Okay, now, when I get out this time, I kind of got a little money set up because I was in work release, making a little money. So now I'm back in the streets, and now, you know, no strings attached, no probation, none of this stuff. Well, matter of fact, I did have probation. And then my sentence was followed by 18 months probation, but I didn't care. I still got guns, I'm doing the drugs. Well, I wasn't a heavy drug user. The only drug of choice for me was marijuana and heavy drinking. I never used cocaine and none of that. I get locked up again. And a good friend of mine was in there, and I known him for years. I knew him, he was like I call a jailhouse friend, one of the ones you never see on the street, but you'll always see him in jail. And he was preaching in the cell. They put me in the cell, and he preaching. Now, I didn't commit this crime, so I'm really hurt because, man, I didn't do this, you know? So, the cops charged me with it because they felt that I had information. I was withholding information about where my friend was. They end up questioning me and, do you know this kid? Yeah, I know him. Do you know where he at? No, I don't. Ain't you on probation? Yes, I am. You know, they knew everything about me. So, okay, I'm gonna call your officer and tell her to violate you because you won't tell us who this guy was. I say, listen, I told you I know him. I don't know where he at. You know what I'm saying? So the probation officer, he called the probation officer, and, you know, he telling her, hey, I need you to violate him because he was holding information. So she was like, well, let me talk to him. She was like, well, what's going on? I said, well, they came and they asked me about an old friend of mine. I gave him everything that I know by the best of my ability, and he's saying that, you know, that's not enough. You know, he wants you to violate him.
You know, and we want to get into the story more. Mm-hmm. I want you to tune in next time when we do part 2 of Anthony Smith's story. I pray that you'll stick around.
I will.
All right. Well, this is the Death of Prison podcast brought to you by Lean On Me USA. Please connect with us. You can connect with us at leanonmeusa.org, or you can email us at 411dop@gmail.com. This is the Death of Prison podcast, but we like to say, choose life.
I can change the world. Feed one, teach one boy.